With this Senate update, I'm Julie Bartkey. 7 bills that address a variety of needs for the school's education system were rolled out on Wednesday, and they include school facilities funding to provide money to districts in need of upgrades and repairs to buildings, free pre-kindergarten for the state's 4-year-olds, school readiness tax credit, a comprehensive vision screening and free school breakfast for elementary students, expanding school counselors and other support services, expanding the Pathways to College program, and increasing funding to districts for technology purposes. Senate E12 Committee Chair Charles Wiger and the other bill sponsors all detailed their proposals in a news conference.
Today, we're here to talk about our state's most important priority, students, our future, creating the world's best workforce. As we put together our proposals, our focus will be on that theme, creating the world's best workforce. In fact, that's in statute. To do that, we have several priorities that I will highlight over the next 10 minutes or so, and my colleagues will cut me off if I exceed that. And then bill authors will be available to expand on any of those proposals as you would like. Dollar-wise, we are still awaiting, of course, what the budget, revised budget forecast will be and supplemental recommendations from the governor. So I will not have an exact dollar amount for these proposals as we await that, but when I mention these priorities, it will clearly indicate our intent for inclusion. In terms of amount overall, let's hope that we can get $500 million. That's what members of my division are going to shoot for. Last biennium, we actually, if you take both years, we were able to go over $500 million, and the need is there in the classroom. So as we allocate through our discussions, that's what we are hoping for, because there is a lot of need and priorities out there. First, school facilities. They are deteriorating in many parts of our state. It is embarrassing. It's shameful for students to have to go to substandard facilities. This impairs a teacher's ability to teach. It affects the morale of a school. It affects one's education. A report came out from the Department of Education. It was a task force with a number of representatives throughout the state. And the strong recommendation, and this was last year, was that we put together a strong building plan for our schools. And we are going to step forward with those recommendations. Senator Kevin Dahl is a sponsor of a couple of proposals that will invest more money for schools. We've had some very pointed testimony in terms of the inequality that exists in our state right now. There is a formula now up in statute where 25 districts are able to put together a 10-year plan, the Alternative Facilities Program. The other districts are not eligible for that plan, so they are not able to compete in the amount of resources available for students, creating over $300 disparity. What does this mean? Well, Forest Lake, for example, just testified in our committee about the problem. The superintendent, talking about it, Superintendent Mattson, to use facilities that are in disrepair and in need of replacement, such as the track, tennis courts, and performing arts center, they have to walk into classrooms that are basically falling apart and outdated, talking about the students. They have to use the same classroom equipment that their parents and even grandparents used. A student, in providing testimony, noted, the district pool was built to standards so obsolete that members of swim teams have to sign safety waivers to use the diving board, much less to be able to host tournaments. Throughout the state, there's hundreds of schools in need of repair. This is the #1 priority of the Minnesota Rural Education Association. The Association of Metropolitan School Districts has offered its strong support, as well as a number of other groups. But we need to step up with dollars. And there's a need, we need to invest in our school facilities. That will facilitate the learning environment, and students deserve a safe, healthy school environment. Early learning. You heard about this before in Senator Hoffman's proposal for pre-K, four-year-olds, make it optional. Why? Early learning investment. It's the highest return we can get on our dollar. You've heard Art Rolnick over the years talk about this. You put in $1 in early ed, you're going to get at least 10 in return or more. Those are the facts. That's what the research says. We want students ready for K. It's in statute as well. And we are making progress, but we need to do more. And so we support the Ready for K initiatives, particularly what Senator Hoffman has put forward. The governor has come forward with an additional proposal which would scale back to weighting the 4-year-old at a half in terms of the amount of money instead of full-time, and we think that would be a great start. So early education, it's a great investment, and it gets us on the road for a student likely to graduate and to be college and career ready. Senator Franzen is carrying a bill for school readiness tax credit for parents and for businesses that have students, young people, that are in high quality programs. And that's the key, high quality programs, because that is going to be the best indicator as to whether a student will meet our objective of being ready for K and then ultimately college career ready. So Senator Franzen will talk further as we go through this, but a part of our mission in having students ready is to also provide the opportunity for parents, working parents particularly, to have this type of a tax credit available to them. For many, it's a struggle, check to check, and we'd like to include this as a part of the package. Non-academic barriers are out there as well. The student needs to be ready for K. What if they have a vision issue? We've had testimony about the number of students that have vision problems that have not been detected in the initial screen that's being done. Senator Johnson has a proposal that will require a comprehensive vision screen prior to kindergarten. And we've had a great deal of evidence showing that if you have a condition, for example, affecting your vision and it's not detected, it could be very expensive later in special education costs. It could affect your learning. It could affect your whole life, your career. In fact, there's some statistics that compel us to have to do something early. And so we'll include comprehensive vision screening for Ready for K. And additionally, the importance of having a breakfast. It's more difficult to learn if you have an empty stomach. And even more so, if you haven't had a nutritious meal, you aren't as likely to learn as much. And we've had statistics showing that students do better with nutritious meals, particularly for breakfast. The champion of that effort has been Senator Johnson. The governor has also backed a proposal which would also include preschool. We'll work out something on that, but students need to be ready for school to learn, and that would be having a breakfast. Particularly, let's do it at the elementary level. We have underfunded programs that are needed, particularly for counselors. When we talk about college career ready, and it also signals the importance of having guidance counselors that can work with students in interpreting tests, in giving advice on remediation courses that might be needed, in college career planning, post-secondary opportunities. unfortunately, we rank 48th out of 50 states on the ratio for students and counselors. Senator Kent has a proposal which will address funding, additional funding, which could be made available if a district wanted to participate, for counselors, for social workers, nurses, chemical dependency counselors, and psychologists, a group in this providing support services, very important services that make it better for a teacher to get their job done as well. It's a team effort. We know that schools have struggled in trying to keep up with the amount of resources, and we're doing our best. That's why we're shooting for $500 million. But we want to provide additional help, and it would be a match-type program, and Senator Kent will be sponsoring that proposal. College career ready. That's the ultimate goal. But in addition to being ready, why not have a jump start? And that is why we strongly support post-secondary options, college in the school, opportunities for students to be involved in programs to get credit. And this can be for vocational credit, for any of the post-secondary opportunities. And Senator Clausen, and formerly a principal, knows firsthand of the effectiveness of these programs, and we will be strongly supporting initiatives for additional funds in this area. It's a win-win for students, for parents, and ultimately for employers when students will have these opportunities. And for college in the schools, the students can stay at that local school, earn credits, and that will be a part of our priorities as well. And also, I will be sponsoring technology proposals. The Minnesota School Boards Association, through their delegate assembly, has identified a number of recommendations which I'm honored to carry, and it asks for additional investment in technology. Technology, it's the conduit of opportunity. It's everywhere, as we know. But notwithstanding our state goal for internet connection throughout the state, by this year, we're perhaps only 3/4 of the way there.
I think when you look at the choices that we've had in Minnesota, we've had a rich history of choice. Nothing changes how the structure is set up right now. And to say it's going to take money from another program, I think isn't a consistent statement of what the desire was. The desire is to get out there to the highly qualified preschool programs that align themselves with those standards that every school district is looking at, even starting at birth to beyond 12th grade. Most of the time you see pre-K through graduation. And then lining those things up, it really is what makes the most sense. Assistant Superintendent Mary Wolverton said to me that when she can unequivocally track every child that comes into the preschool program, as long as the district knows those children and where they're from and what they're doing, then line those with the standards that are there, they can guarantee that 90% success rate. Think of the return on investment for us as taxpayers on that kind of return on investment. But at the same time, the bill doesn't change anything that is already out there. The successful choices that we do have, and let me highlight, ECFE, Head Start, Early Head Start, you got your child care programs, you got your school readiness, you have those private child care programs that are going to still exist out there. It's not going to take anything away from those. I believe that this just gives one more opportunity for a choice for parents. I wanted to show what the whole picture looks like. I think you need to start from what's the whole picture, what it looks like, and we work our way down to see what actually happens.
My proposal came together, and I've been working on the Mini Minds campaign since I started in the legislature, and that has all the proposals that have been coming forward for early childhood scholarships. So I've been very invested in that area, and then realized that the child care component is certainly part of the equation. It's a continuum. We want to get the kids early on all the way to higher learning, and we'll have to start early. So certainly this is an area that we know in Minnesota is the third highest most expensive state in the country for child care costs. So we know that families are taking making options of whether you go back to work or you stay with your children to raise them. And we want to make sure that we continue to support families and continue to support businesses as well, because this is not an issue that we can solve on our own. So that is why my proposal, as opposed to the governor's, also includes some incentives for businesses to devote some resources in high-quality rated programs, so it's tied to the Parent Aware system. And similar to the governor's, it does have a cap of $2,100 per as a family, but it starts at just over $1,000 for one child. And we hope that that also helps the current dependent care tax credit that's in existence and helps people and families be able to not have to have that option of electing whether to go back to work or to take care of their children in high quality settings, that we are going to raise the bar in those settings across this country, across the state.
And part of the important aspect of this bill is that it will allow flexibility for school districts. So you can see a case where a district may have a number of counselors, but those counselors end up doing so much social work that they don't actually have time to do the counseling. So what this does is it allows the local districts to assess their situations, their student populations, and those needs, and adapt accordingly.
So it wouldn't tie the funding to them having to hire, say, certain types of these different categories?
Complete flexibility. It would be a complete opt-in. I met with a group of local teachers recently, and someone who's been teaching kindergarten for decades was talking about the mental health challenges that they are seeing in kindergartners. It's a very real need, and these are the kinds of challenges that will hold our kids back. And so it does take that multidisciplinary approach, and that's why I think this is a good local flexibility way to solve a long-standing problem in Minnesota.
Over the interim, I visited about 15 schools throughout the state of Minnesota talking about dual credit or dual enrollment programs. And basically what those programs entail is that the student is earning college credit while in their home school as a high school student. It has great advantages for college-ready students. And the bill that I have does three basic things. Right now, the program is underfunded, so school districts that are participating in the programs have to take money out of their general fund. So I'd like to get the funding up where it's supporting the program. Secondly, some of the higher education institutes in our state that are participating can no longer provide access because their programs are full. So we want to provide some funding for higher education institutions that they can expand those programs at their level. And then lastly, many of our teachers that are involved in the program volunteer their time in the summer to go onto the college campuses and work with the college professors. Many of them are doing that without any type of compensation. So we want to make sure that we're compensating our teachers, but at the same time expanding the opportunities for professional development for our teachers that are in the high schools teaching those courses. Another facet of the program is that we are expanding the program to include career and technical education courses in a high school. So that's kind of a quick overview of the program.
You know, a lot of the testimony on many bills that we get in front of the Education Committee talk about maybe wanting to access these other sources of revenue, whether it's location equity or small schools, and they all talk about facilities. They all talk about facilities. I had a group in my office yesterday who said they have to stop their teaching for when it rains so the teachers can get the buckets out in the middle of the room. So, you know, this is important. If we have 24 school districts that have the authority to through the alternative facilities revenue to do facility upgrades. And we're not talking about adding wings or entire buildings. We're talking about deferred maintenance. If 25 school districts, I'm corrected, I think 24 are taking advantage of it, have this authority, why can't the other 300 school districts have that authority?
So there are 1 in 5 children who go to school hungry. That's statistics that I don't think is disputed at all. Same thing with vision. 1 in 4 children have vision problems in school. Now, without food and without vision, I wonder how you do. And for sure, I know the little children especially are not able to really deal with these issues. On the vision thing, I want to throw out one piece of information that I just recently found out, and that is that 7 out of 10 juvenile delinquents have vision problems. Is there a correlation? These are the children that get labeled special ed, troublemakers. They drop out of school. They disrupt the classroom. Those are the kinds of things that really limit a teacher's ability to teach. I don't care how great of a teacher you have, it won't compare to a child who is hungry and can't see in terms of challenging that teacher, and they do it, and we know that. So I think the investment will be great.
Thank you. I want to add, too, several of these bills do have bipartisan support, and we will do our very best to put together a proposal that does have that.